The Galactic Academy's advanced xenobiology classroom hummed with the nervous energy of 37 different species, each representing the intellectual elite of their respective worlds. Professor Vextara, a distinguished crystalline from the Andorian Collective, gestured gracefully toward the reinforced containment unit at the center of the amphitheater. "Today we observe the Coraxian Stalker," Professor Vextara announced, her prismatic form refracting the classroom's bioluminescent lighting. One of the most efficient predators known to exist in the Outer Rim territories. The students leaned forward with varying degrees of trepidation. The Coraxian Stalker was legendary, a creature that had single-handedly depopulated 3 mining colonies before being contained. Its reputation preceded it across 17 star systems. Marcus Chien, the lone human in the class, sat in the back row, absently twirling a stylus between his fingers. Unlike his classmates who possessed natural armor, toxic secretions, or psychic barriers, he appeared remarkably unremarkable. Just soft pink skin, basic clothing, and an expression of mild curiosity. The containment field shimmered as Professor Vextara began her demonstration. Inside the transparent aluminum chamber, something moved. The Coraxian Stalker emerged from the shadows like a living nightmare, 8 feet of rippling black muscle, 6 blade-tipped limbs, and a head that seemed to be nothing but teeth and hunger. Its primary hunting adaptation was its ability to phase through most known materials, making traditional barriers useless. "Note the bioelectric field generators," Professor Vextara explained. "Tap in the containment unit's control panel. The only known method of." The lights flickered. Emergency klaxons shrieked as the bioelectric generator sputtered and died. The containment field collapsed. Chaos erupted instantly. The Gorthic students, despite their natural exoskeletons, immediately began secreting panic pheromones. The ethereal whisperfolk phase-shifted into higher dimensions, abandoning physical space entirely. The heavily armored Krogian delegate activated his personal shield generators while backing toward the emergency exits. The Coraxian Stalker stretched to its full height, tasting the air with a serpentine tongue. Its 6 eyes swiveled independently, cataloging targets. When it moved, it was with the fluid grace of a creature evolved solely to kill. Professor Vextara's crystalline form began cycling through alarm color patterns as she frantically attempted to reactivate the containment protocols. "Remain calm," she broadcast telepathically, though her own mental emanations betrayed her terror. "Emergency services have been..." The Stalker struck. It launched itself across the classroom in a single bound, landing atop a Zentorian student whose natural camouflage proved useless at such close range. The creature's claws extended, preparing to deliver the killing blow that would provide its first meal in months. That's when Marcus Chun stood up. He didn't rush forward. He didn't shout a battle cry. He simply walked down the classroom steps with the casual confidence of someone heading to lunch. In his right hand, he held his stylus like it was the most natural weapon in the galaxy. The Coraxian Stalker paused, confused by this strange creature's behavior. Its prey was supposed to flee, fight, or freeze. This soft thing was doing none of those. It was just approaching. Marcus stopped 3 feet from the predator and looked it directly in its primary eyes. "Hey there, buddy," he said conversationally. "You're having a rough day, aren't you?" The Stalker tilted its head, genuinely perplexed. In over 2 centuries of existence, it had never encountered prey that showed neither fear nor aggression. Its hunting instincts, finely tuned for pursuit and terror, simply didn't know how to process this interaction. "Listen," Marcus continued, as if he were talking to a confused pet rather than an apex predator. "I know you're probably hungry and stressed. Being locked up isn't fun for anyone, but you're scaring my classmates." The creature's nostrils flared, analyzing Marcus's scent. It detected no fear pheromones, no stress hormones, no indication of fight-or-flight responses. Just the steady, calm presence of a creature completely at ease. Marcus slowly extended his hand. "Here's what we're going to do. You're going to step back from my friend here." He nodded toward the trembling Zentarian. "And we're going to figure out a better solution for everyone." The Coraxian stalker had evolved on a world where hesitation meant death, where every interaction was predator versus prey. But this human wasn't playing by those rules. He was proposing something completely alien to the creature's experience: cooperation. For the first time in its existence, the stalker took a voluntary step backward. Marcus smiled, not the bare teeth display that most species interpreted as aggression, but the genuine, warm expression unique to humans. "Good, see? We can work this out." Professor Vexstar watched in amazement as the human slowly, patiently guided the galaxy's most feared predator away from the other students. He spoke to it constantly, his voice never wavering, never showing fear. When the stalker became agitated, Marcus would pause and wait for it to calm down before continuing within minutes. He had successfully coaxed the creature back into its containment area. "Now," Marcus said, looking up at the stunned professor, "maybe we should fix those generators before our friend gets restless again." As the emergency containment protocols were restored and the stalker secured, the classroom erupted in amazed chatter. Students from dozens of worlds tried to understand what they had just witnessed. The Gorthic delegation's leader, his panic pheromones finally subsiding, approached Marcus with obvious bewilderment. "Human," he jittered, "how did you know the predator wouldn't simply kill you?" Marcus shrugged, slipping his stylus back into his pocket. "I didn't. But it seemed more curious than hungry, and curiosity is something you can work with. Most creatures, even predators, prefer the path of least resistance. Fighting is expensive energy-wise. If you give them an alternative that doesn't involve conflict, they'll usually take it." "But the risk," began a Whisperfolk student, her voice echoing from several dimensions simultaneously. "Everything's a risk," Marcus replied. "The trick is figuring out which risks are worth taking. My classmates were in danger. That made the choice pretty simple." Professor Vexstar's crystalline form had settled into a steady blue glow, the crystalline equivalent of deep contemplation. "In all my years of studying predator behavior," she said slowly, "I have never witnessed anything like that. Most species respond to apex predators with either overwhelming force or complete avoidance. Your approach was unprecedented." Marcus looked around the classroom at his fellow students, beings with natural weapons, armor, psychic abilities, and technological enhancements that far exceeded anything humans possess. Yet they all stared at him with something approaching awe. "Humans don't have claws or armor or telepathy," he said. "What we have is the ability to look at a situation and think, what if we tried something completely different? Sometimes that gets us killed. But sometimes," he gestured toward the now secure containment unit, "sometimes it works out pretty well." As the class slowly returned to normal, Marcus Chun settled back into his seat, completely unaware that he had just provided the Galactic Academy with its most important lesson of the semester, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons, but their willingness to approach the impossible with nothing more than curiosity, empathy, and an unshakable belief that there was always another way. The Coraxian stalker, for its part, watched the human through the containment field with what might have been the first genuine interest it had ever felt. For the first time in its predatory existence, it had encountered something more fascinating than fear, and that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.